We all have that old friend who has his own way of doing things, even if not many other people like him. That friend was the ER6N, but sometimes we grow a bit distant from each other. And then we meet again, after years of keeping our distance.
And we may find out that our old friend has changed completely. Sometimes they join a pyramid scheme, wanting to sell you vacations, but other times they manage to find their way. And this might just be the case with the Kawasaki Z650.
At first, it's hard to even recognize your friend. He looks nothing like the old version of himself, and that's for the good. You can really see where Kawasaki took the inspiration from, since from a distance, you could confuse the 650 with its bigger brother, the Z1000.
Okay, maybe confused is a strong word, but the sharp lines and the edgy design make you feel like you're part of the same family. It's sort of like Lamborghini. People who like it, love it, and those who don't, will never get it.
And that's fine, because I think it scores pretty high on the looks department.
There is one exception, and this one is subjective, but then again, bike reviews and especially design is a subjective matter.
The fuel tank has these indentations on the side. When I first looked at the bike, I genuinely thought it had been crashed on the sides. But then I realized it was part of the design.
It's a small thing, and realistically it doesn't matter, since the overall package has a more than pleasing and aggressive look to it.
You also notice the behavior of your old friends can change. And while at its core they're still the same, boasting parallel twin engines, their characteristics might have slightly altered.
But they're still the same old friend at their core. The Z's engine sports a familiar, usable power band while also providing some excitement through its 68 horsepower delivery.
It's nothing crazy, nothing to boast about to your friends, but enough to feel excited on the inside.
The exhaust note is also, there. Look, it's not the most exciting note, it won't bring shivers down your spine or downshifts. What it does bring is familiarity and peace of mind.
Also, peace of mind is provided by the braking system. It lacks the feel of high-end Brembos, but then again, you're not paying for high-end Brembos.
What it doesn't lack is stopping power, the dual front discs doing a more than adequate job of stopping your ass.
And if you pull a bit harder on the lever, ABS is always there as a last resort safety net type of thingy. You go out to the bar with your old friend, and he gets a little tipsy, making his movements slightly wallowy.
That's one way to describe the Z's suspension, except its suspension is constantly tipsy.
Look, on rougher roads and potholes, it's a blessing. But on smooth roads, when trying to lean a bit harder into a corner, it's a bit of a curse. Simply put, the front forks are too plush for my liking.
I get this kind of suspension for a Versus, but a naked should feel a bit more sporty in my opinion. And this doesn't. To make matters worse, the suspension is not adjustable either. Just as with old friends, what you see is what you get. There ain't no changing them.
Don't get me wrong, the bike doesn't handle like a boat. It just doesn't inspire the confidence of other sporty competitors. Where it does excel though is in the city. Despite being a 650, it feels proper tiny, making reaching the pavement with both feet a breeze. This will probably feel a bit cramped if you're really tall, but for the rest of us, it's a good thing. It's easy to squeeze between cars, easy to turn. Easy is actually a really good word to describe its character.
Overall, your old friend still has some quirks. He's not perfect, he doesn't need to be, and so is Kawasaki's offering.
It might feel like I dislike the bike, but I don't. The reality is, bikes these days are getting so good that it's almost important to focus on what's not so good about them, since either way you are getting a really fun motorcycle.
Middleweight bikes like the Z do so much so well, and especially for someone who is towards the beginning of their two-wheel journey, that you have to nitpick more and more when looking at them.
At times your old friend, despite all the changes he's been through, might feel like hasn't really advanced that much. The Z650 is a budget bike. Kawasaki markets it as such, and it feels like it.
While it is well put together, you can feel the places where they had to cut some costs to bring an affordable price tag. And again, that's okay. You can't have everything. While with friends, you can't really talk about their value. Well, if you're a human trafficker, you could, but that's another story. With motorcycles, value is really important, especially in this price range.
Really, the biggest downside of the Z are its enemies, especially the Yamaha MT-07.
That rival feels more lively, sounds more distinct, and is overall a more exciting package, and all that for just $200 more.
At that price, the Kawasaki starts to become a hard sell. You might really like its styling, but in the other departments, the Yamaha equals it or outright beats it.
You see, the new market is not ideal for the green machines, and the depreciation on them is considerably higher than the blue team. And here is where the Kawasaki starts to shine.
If buying new, the Z is not that attractive of a deal, but second-hand, it starts to make a lot of sense. Here's the thing, for the price of a 2018 Z650, you can only get a 14 to 15 year FC07.
For the same money, you get the motorcycle that is 4 years newer, and that's quite a lot. Suddenly you can glance over its shortcomings because the value is there.
Your old friend might not be the best person on planet Earth, most likely not the ideal role model.
The 650 is probably on nobody's dream bike list. It's a step towards that list. And for such motorcycles, the value aspect matters a lot more.
You see, an old friend should feel familiar, should make you feel comfortable around them, should always be there when you need it. And you should always know sort of what to expect. It's a familiar place that you can always go back to.
That's what the Z650 really feels like. It's not high maintenance, it's not the craziest thing out there, but it's a bike you can rely on, a good baseline. And in today's world, especially for beginners, that doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Not every motorcycle has to be an end goal, and the Kawasaki is a really decent step on the way to get there.